Hi, I'm Miss Van Loan, and in this video, we're going to complete Module 3, Lesson 5, Independent Practice. Remember, I recommend using your math notebook and using your paper the normal way, which is called portrait. Please use a pencil, either number 2 or mechanical, and have an eraser handy. For the purposes of this video, I will be using a blank sheet of white paper, and it will be in the landscape orientation. That is because it works better for the video camera. I'm also going to be using pen because it shows up better on camera. All right, let's get started. Module 3, Lesson 5, Independent Practice. Put your name. And we're going to continue working with inequalities on this assignment. Number 1, 4x minus 8 is less than 12. And we can always bring back our equation mat here and just know that it's not equals, it's less than. And if we divide by any negatives, we're going to flip the sign. But let's go ahead and build this. Okay, I have 4x minus 8, and then on this side I have 12. So what's my first step? I need to flip. So I get all the ones on one side and the x's on the other side. And then I can combine these. So I have 4x and 5, 10, 15, 20. Now we divide by 4, or we can divide it into 4 groups. 4 equal-sized groups. Each x corresponds to 5. So 1x equals 5, but we're not equal, so 1x is less than 5. Let's show that on paper. We flipped and added 8. This became 20. 4x was still on that side. No negative funny business going on, so we keep the sign going the same way. 4x and 20, we divided into groups of 4. And so we had x is less than 5. And now we graph that. 0, 5. We do not include the 5, so it's an open circle, and then we shade less than 5. Great, number 2. X divided by 2 plus 7 is greater than negative 9. So let's divide our number sentence here. We're going to try to get the x by itself. So let's flip this 7 to the other side. And we'll have a negative 7 on that side now. So x over 2. And if I have negative 9 and negative 7, that means I have a total of negative 16. I didn't divide or multiply by any negatives, so this stays the same direction. If I have x divided by 2 and I want to undo that, we'll multiply by 2. So now I have just x, and it wasn't a negative 2, so the direction of the sign stays the same. Negative 16 times 2, still negative. 16 times 2 is 32. Remember, 15 times 2 is 30, and then you need 1 and 1 more, so 32. And let's graph it. 0, negative 32, open circle, and we shade going bigger than, because x is greater than negative 32. All right, let's do number 3. 3x minus 7 is less than or equal to 14. Take that negative 7, flip it over the board. and we'll have 3x over here, and negative, it becomes positive 7 on that side. So 14 plus 7 is 21. The sign stays the same, less than or equal to. If I have 3 x's, I'll divide it into 3 groups. So divide by 3, divide by 3. X is by itself now. This is a positive 3, so the sign stays the same. 21 divided by 3 is 7. So x is less than or equal to 7. And let's graph it. 0, 7. It's a closed circle because it's or equal to. And then we go negative, we go less than. All right, number 4. Negative 5x plus 12 is greater than or equal to negative 23. So we're going to take the 12, which is positive, and flip it to the other side, which means it's going to become negative. So negative 23 and negative 12. So when we combine those groups, remember I'm thinking about the tiles. 3 and 2 is 5, 2 and 1 is 3. So we have 35 negative tiles. Now I just flipped. I didn't multiply or divide. I just moved the positive 12 over here as negative 12. So since I'm not multiplying or dividing, I'm just adding or subtracting, the sign stays the same. Okay, so now all that's left on this side is the negative 5x, and on this side we have negative 35. I'm going to go ahead and divide by negative 5 on both sides. So now that I'm dividing by a negative, I am going to flip the sign. So when it was pointing to the right, that is greater than. When it's pointing to the left, that's less than. So now it's a less than sign. The negative 5 being multiplied cancels out with the negative 5 being divided, and we're left with just x. And then negative 35 divided by negative 5, we're going to wind up with a positive answer. 35 divided by 5 is 7. So x is less than or equal to 7. And we can go ahead and graph that. We'll put our 0, we'll put a 7, and it says or equal to, so we're going to bubble in the circle over the 7, and then we're going to shade less than. Number 5. Negative 7 plus 4x is greater than negative 31. Let's split our math sentence. We're going to leave the x's here, but let's flip that negative 7, and it'll be positive 7. So negative 31 and positive 7, I need to cancel out 7 zero pairs, or 31 minus 7, and then what's left over is still negative. However you want to think about it. You can think about canceling out 0 pairs. You could think about take the bigger one, subtract the smaller one, and then give it the sign of the bigger one. However you want to do that. So I'm going to say 30 minus 7 would be 23, and I've got one more, so it'll be 24. So I know that 7 is 3 away from 10. So I kind of shortcutted that. I know 30 minus 7 is 23, which means one more, if I just shifted up 31 minus 7, is going to be 24. Do you see how I kind of did that in my head? Okay, hopefully that makes sense. That's how I do it in my head quickly. The 31 is bigger and negative, so that's negative. We did not multiply or divide by negative, so this stays the same. And now 4x is all by itself on that side. Let's divide by 4 so we can figure out what 1x corresponds to. We're dividing by a positive, the sign stays the same direction. 24 divided by 4 is 6, and the answer is negative. So x is greater than negative 6. Let's graph it. Put our 0, put our negative 6. And do we bubble in the circle or not? We do not, because it does not include 6. Does not include negative 6. Now let's shade going bigger, because it's all the x's bigger than negative 6. All right, let's do number 6. 2x plus negative 14 is greater than negative 8. So picture it. Picture 2 x's on this side, 14 negatives, and 8 negatives. We're going to flip those 14 negatives over. So we'll have plus 14 here. All we have left on this side are the 2 x's, because we flipped those 14 over. They became positive. We're going to cancel out with these negative 8. And we'll be left with 6 positives. This sign here stays the same. And now we're moving to the next step. We have 2 x's on this side and 6 1's over here. So we're going to divide into 2 groups. And we'll have x is greater than 3. We'll have an x here and 3 1's here. Now let's do the number line. 0, 3, open circle. It does not include the 3. And shade greater than. X is greater than 3. Number 7. X divided by negative 6 plus 20 is less than 2. Okay, we'll take the 20 and flip it to the other side. It becomes negative 20. 2 minus 20, so the 20 is bigger. We'll be left with negative 18. We didn't multiply or divide. This stays the same direction. And that got canceled out when we flipped it. So we have x divided by negative 6 over here, and then negative 18 on this side. Now we need to get x by itself. If x is being divided by a negative 6, that means we need to multiply by a negative 6 to get rid of it. We use the inverse operation. So multiply by negative 6, and we have to do it to the other side. Multiply by negative 6. And right now, let's just do it right now. If we're multiplying by a negative, we're going to flip this. Okay, so those negative 6's now get canceled. We have x is now greater than whatever this is going to be. And then we've got 2 negatives here, so whatever our answer is, it's going to be positive. 18 and 6. 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 4 is 10. So this is 108. So x is greater than 108. And we can graph that too. Don't worry about trying to draw all that. Just put 108. Just a 0 and 108. And then it's an open circle, and we go bigger than. X is greater than. Okay? You don't need to worry about filling in the numbers. You just put the general idea. Number 8. Negative x over 5 minus 14 is less than or equal to negative 29. Let's separate the two sides of our number sentence. And we've got some x's, some 1's, and some 1's over here. So we're going to take these 1's and flip them onto this side. So it's a negative 14, which means it'll flip and become plus 14, and then that'll be gone. So 29 is larger, so we'll subtract the 14, and then we'll make the answer negative. So 9 minus 4 is 5, 2 minus 1 is 1, and then it's negative. We didn't multiply or divide by a negative, we just flipped. So we're going to leave that the same. Okay, and then we're left with negative x over 5 on that side. Negative x divided by 5. So even though the negative is out in front, I can still multiply by a negative 5 on both sides, and I'll cancel out that negative and cancel out the 5 at the same time. So just like I multiplied negative 6 on both sides here to get rid of this negative 6 in the denominator, I can do the exact same thing here to get rid of the negative and the 5 in the denominator. Because technically you could put the negative out in front, or you could give it to the x, or you could give it to the 5. As long as you take that negative and give it to just one of those numbers, then you'll be fine. So we're going to say that that negative goes with that negative 5, or goes with the 5, and we'll multiply by negative 5. I guess I should put the multiplication over there. And then on this side, multiply by negative 5. So the 5 cancels out with the 5, the negative cancels with the negative, and I have just x by itself. I multiplied by a negative, so we've got to reverse the sign here. X is now greater than or equal to whatever we get over here. 15 times 2 is 30. 15 times 4 is 60. So 15 times 5 is 75. If you think in multiples like that. The negative and the negative will cancel out, so this will be positive 75. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So 15 times 2 is 30. So if 15 times 2 is 30, if we double that, 15 times 2 times 4 would be 60. So now I've got 4 15s, and if I add another 15 there, I'll get 75. So I'm thinking about when I have to do 15 times 5, I'm thinking about it like this: 15 plus 15, until I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 15s being added together. 5 sets of 15. 2 of them are 30, so 4 of them would be 60, and then I just need to add 1 more to that to get 75. So there's another way of thinking about how I did it in my head. I'm just trying to help you guys like understand like how I can do some of these things quicker in my head by trying to draw out for you what's going on in my head, which is kind of hard. I mean, have you ever looked at someone and just wondered what is going on inside their head? This. Okay, so let's draw the number line real quick. We'll graph this. X is greater than or equal to 75, so we'll put a 0. We'll put a 75 on there. It's positive. X includes 75 and goes greater than. All right, let's do number 9. 14 minus x over 2 is less than or equal to 6. So let's take that 14, flip it to the other side. We'll have negative 14 because it was positive, so now it became negative. 6 and negative 14 will leave me with negative 8. The inequality sign stayed the same. And, ooh, careful. I kind of included that negative sign there. This is still negative x over 2. Negative x over 2. And now you can see that this is just like what we saw over here with negative x over 5. We're going to solve this the exact same way. So let's multiply by negative 2, multiply by negative 2. That's going to cancel out. I'll have just x. Since I multiplied by a negative, my inequality sign flips. Negative 8 times negative 2 is going to give me a positive. What's 8 times 2? 16. And now we can graph that, put a 0, put a 16, and x is greater than or equal to. So we shade it in, and then we go greater than. Number 10. Charlie just got a puppy. She needs to buy a collar, a leash, and some toys for her new pet. The collar she has chosen is $6 and the leash is $9. The toys are $3 each. Write and solve an inequality to determine how many toys she can purchase if she has $25 to spend. So let's write down our information first. So let's say max $25. And then on the other side, we're going to have, let's see, a collar, a leash, and some toys. This tells me right now the sum toys is going to be our variable here, right? Because we don't know how many toys. One collar, one leash, and then a certain number of toys. The collar she has chosen is $6. The leash is $9. And the toys are $3 each. So $3 times however many toys we're going to get. So 3x. So if the maximum she can spend is 25, that means all of this added together has to be less than, this is the less than, so we're pointing down here, or equal to. We like to have the x on the left though, so let's write this the other direction. We'll say that all of this added together is going to be less than or equal to $25. So we have a $6 collar plus a $9 leash plus $3 times however many toys we get will be less than or equal to $25. Let's separate our, oh, you know what? Let's box that as part of our answer, and then we'll rewrite it and solve it. Okay, now I have one written nice and neat. 6 plus 9 is 15 plus 3x less than or equal to 25. So now let's take that 15, we'll flip it to the other side. It becomes negative 15 and it's gone. So now I have just 3 x's on this side, still less than or equal to 25 minus 15 is 10. Okay. Now divide by 3. And 1x is going to be less than or equal to 10 divided by 3. Well, 10 divided by 3 is going to be 3 with a remainder of 1. So remember back up here, it's $3 per toy. So can she buy 3-point-something toys? Can you buy part of a toy? No, you can't buy part of a toy. You can only buy a complete toy. So it's going to be less than or equal to 3, and we've got a remainder here, which we're going to throw out, and we're just going to say she can buy a maximum of 3 toys. Even though we got 3 1/3, you can't buy part of a toy. So maximum 3. It's got to be a whole number. Okay. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.